You're not going to believe the lengths I've had to go to fix a basic brake light circuit on quite a basic car. We've got a 2017 Renault Clio. It's got a brake light fault. The customer fitted a new brake light bulb and it's caused all sorts of issues. So I'm going to show you around it. Let's see what's going on. As soon as you turn this car on, the brake lights are on all the time. You cannot turn them off. It starts on its own. You're meant to have your foot on the brake before it will let you start the car on the push button start. That's all working. It's coming out of gear before you put your foot on the brake. That's another issue. Also, when you try and turn the car off, it doesn't turn off. But if you try and turn it off with your foot on the brake, it will shut down. So I'm going to show you the lengths I've had to go to determine what's going on with this car and the way we done it. And then I'll show you exactly what the fault was. So let's get into it. We love a backstory. So this customer's phoned us up with this car saying that the brake lights are stuck on, etc. You see what that's all doing. Luckily, they realised it was their own fault. They'd taken it into a garage to have some shock absorbers fitted. Went to pick it up, it wouldn't start. Then they managed to find some blown fuses, changed some fuses, got home, then it wouldn't turn off. They obviously assumed it was down to the mechanical work what had been undertaken. So luckily, then they remembered before they went down there, they'd fitted a new brake light bulb. So they had a quick check on that, and the actual brake light bulb, the filament was shorted across to the earth circuit. So it blown a couple of fuses, like I say. They went through it. Once they put new fuses in it, it wouldn't turn off, all that side of it. So they put a new brake light bulb in it, still the same. They phoned me up, wanted me to go through it. I was expecting it to be an incorrect bulb, badly fitted, something like that, and it hasn't done that. But it is quite a basic circuit, but it's given us a real runaround. So I'm going to go to the diagram, show you how it all works, how basic of circuit it is, but why it sort of took me so long to find the fault. And I haven't actually found it yet. I know exactly where the fault is, but I haven't stripped that part out. But I'm going to show you how I got to this point, and then hopefully you'll be able to follow along. So let's have a look at the diagram. Quite a basic circuit. It is just a normal brake light switch, 10 amp fuse, straight to the brake light switch, onto pin 2. That's a yellow. It comes out of there once you put your foot on the brake. It makes this contact, and it comes out of pin 1 on a green and just goes straight down to all the rear lights. So you would think it would be quite basic. No chance, eh? The only reason it does get a little bit complicated is where it wants to know that you've got your foot on the brake to get it out of park and start the car and all that sort of side of it. It does tail off here. So show you that. It has a little splice which then powers up the body control module, the UCH under the glove box. That tells the car that you put your foot on the brake. Obviously, these ones tell people behind you you're braking. This one just does that. Then this can determine what it wants to do, start the car, etc. You know, get it out of park. But then also we have got the other 2 pins on the brake light switch, which tells the car that you got your foot off the brake. That will tell the engine ECU to give it full power, that you're not trying to slow down or anything like that. So, and that is just a little 3 amp fuse, goes through the brake light switch, back out to engine control module, just to tell them that you have got your foot completely off the brake, you're ready to go. So that side of it has all been disconnected. With the switch out of it, the brake lights are still on. So we know that it's nothing to do with this side of it, nothing to do with the ECU sort of side of it. It's going to be coming, we're getting this circuit powered up. That is where it gets a bit complicated. So a quick rundown of why this has become a real pain and the way the car's not turning off. We're going to show you why that's happening, but we're not 100% there yet, but we know what's going on. So what we've got is, obviously we've got a normal battery, body control module, our brake light switch. So that's our brake light switch there. We know when the switch is off or this is disconnected, we are getting powers back down this way. It's going into the body control module. We was expecting the body control module to be giving power back out. So whatever this is reading, this is an input, it sounds like you might have an internal short inside the body control module, giving voltage back out, powering this back up, and whatever's shorted inside there is also leaving the car running with your foot off the brake, because we're getting voltages down the wrong path. So we couldn't find that exact wire. It's a bit of a weird one. The diagrams don't show you the exact pin. It says what pin it is, but it's not on, there's no pins in that plug which it says it's on. But what we done first, we disconnected the body control module and the lights went out. But that doesn't mean that that's where the fault is, because when you disconnect the body control module, the relay, what powers up the 10 amp fuse, that turns off. And also the relay, what powers up the fuse box, that turns off as well. So you're losing a lot of voltages into the car. So we wanted to determine exactly what this wire was, whether it was coming in or whether it was giving a signal to it, because we know that the car thinks that you've got your foot on the brake and voltage is coming down here. But I think it might, or we thought it may be inside there. When this is powered up, I think what's happening is one of these from the ignition control relay through the fuse box is actually powering up across here where it shouldn't be. So as you turn the ignition on, it flicks this on, puts power up to there, and then all this circuit is live. So we need to determine where this is happening. Obviously, we've got a high level brake light that goes up into the tailgate. We do have voltages up there for your rear wiper and things like that, and some of them are a full voltage. So the first thing we done was disconnected all of the rear lights, all the consumers, and it's still exactly the same. So we had to start narrowing down the circuit somehow, which meant we need to know which way the wires run, exactly where they go, and what they're doing. So let's show you what we done and why it took so long. But before we get into that, here's a little word from DDTSB, who sponsored this video, so thanks so much to them.
How can I get better at repairing cars? Where can I find information that is affordable, available in my language, and easy to understand? That's a question I get almost daily from technicians from all around the world. Most of you probably know that DDTSB is the world's largest database of known faults and fixes. But did you also know that we have uploaded hundreds of self-study documents? You want to learn more about CAN bus? We got you covered. You want to learn more about air suspension, electric vehicles, charging, insulation faults, AdBlue, SCR systems? We have got you covered. It's very hard to come up with a subject that we haven't added to our platform. All of our material is made by us, so it wasn't written by some kind of engineer in a classroom, but it's written by technicians with real in-the-field experience. And we know exactly what you are struggling with and what questions you might have. Why? Because we have been there. The great thing is our software is very easy to understand. Our documents come in 10 different languages, and it's all included in your DDTSB subscription.
So thanks so much to DDTSB for sponsoring this video. And if it's something you think you'd be interested in, there's a link down below. Go and check them out. Very good system. Right, you're on the wobbly cam. So we, first of all, strip the rear lights. Them ones are out. So disconnected that light cluster. The problem you do have quite a lot, when you've got these twin filament bulbs, you've got two contacts in there. Some people put in a bulb very similar to that with one contact, and as it goes in, that contact there shorts them two together. So when your lights are on, it's actually putting voltage back down. So that is your tail light one. Tail light comes up, shorts across to the brake light, puts it back down, turns all the brake lights on, and then tells the car that you've got your foot on the brake. That's what I was expecting. So wasn't that. Disconnected all them consumers. So we removed the spoiler, disconnected the high level brake light, disconnected both rear lights. Then we've gone inside the car. Here's your body control unit. Disconnected all that side of it. Like I say, once I disconnected that, we'd lost voltages to everything else, so you can't be 100% sure on that. But when that was disconnected, all of the rear lights are disconnected. We still had a resistance to earth on the green wire coming out the brake light switch, which means it was picking up through something. So that showed us it wasn't really the UCH or the BCM what was causing the issue. So we had to work out exactly where it went. And again, it got a bit confusing. But there's a lot of things in the boot. The main loom comes down this side of the car. So it comes all the way down here. It was going under the seat. Goes back to here and splits in here. I wasn't sure whether the driver's side, because the driver's side's got a lot of wires going down to the back, and it does actually show a lot of these wires going sort of into the car. So it could have been coming down that side or this side, but we started on this side because we knew we had the majority of the wires coming down here. We actually split it there, cut the wires. One wire does go along the back seat and then powers up the driver's side, and the other two come to the back light and up to the rear spoiler. So we cut it there. So we know the back feed is not coming from the back of the car, and the green wire, this one here, which goes back down to the car to the brake light switch and body control module, was completely disconnected, and we still had voltage on this wire. The bulbs went out when we disconnected this, but the voltage was coming up this wire. So at that point, we needed to know which wire was sending it down into the car, so we could find out, we could trace it down to the body control module. But between that point and the point where it comes down to here, there's multiple wires, because we got the seat, also goes under the center console to power up bits in the center console. So we had multiple looms coming down here, some going this way, some going up to the seat, some going to the back. So doing a pull test, it wasn't showing which green wire it was. And in this loom, we have got a Brazilian green wires. So next thing we done, we connected up one of the rear lights, so it was powering up that light. Put an amps clamp on the wire, and it was drawing 1 amp. So I thought, that's okay, we'll come back to this side, go across all the green wires, find out which one's got the 1 amp, draw on it until we remove the rear light, and then we'll be able to see what's going on. No, none of them green wires were drawing 1 amp. From here, where it goes to that back of the car, had 1 amp draw there, no 1 amp draw there. That was fun. So I needed to see what was going on. I thought the seat might have been taken out and it had shorted across there. Maybe it had been crimped on something like that. So I have had that before. So I pulled the seat out of it, and this multi-plug was under the carpet. I was like, ha ha, it's going to have corrosion in there, backfeeding, and you know, maybe a main power is coming up into this, backfeeding to a couple of different wires, and then sending it back out to the rear lights. So that's why we wouldn't be getting our feed from the green wires, because it could be coming up on a different, like that red wire. It could be powering up there, powering the 1 amp bulb, but not sending it back down this way. No, wasn't that either. What's happening is, it comes in this side of the plug on green and goes out this side on orange. Comes up here, and it's actually an orange wire. They decided to change the colour from between the foot brake, comes across to a multi-plug. This one here comes into this, back out, and from this point to this point, they decided to run an orange wire instead of a green wire. So that's why I couldn't find on the amps clamp to find out which wire it was. That's not too bad. So the next thing we done, we went to that multi-plug, split the multi-plug, but again, when you're splitting the multi-plug, you're losing a lot of lives across the car as well. We needed to determine which wire that orange wire was to see, again, which way it was coming. And this is what we found. This is the plug with this thick orange wire, and where it comes out of there, it actually splits off to a green wire, which goes up to the UCH. It actually comes up to this plug. It was saying that it was on the 40 pin black, but it's not. It's actually on this smaller plug, brown. But so it was like, eureka, we know exactly where it is. We cut this wire thinking that the body control was giving out power back down and powering up this orange. Do you think it was? Nah, of course it wasn't. So we've disconnected that, and again, we are still getting voltage back down that wire all the way to the brake lights. But everything is disconnected from the circuit, the switch, the lot. So the next side was this wire, this basic wire that comes across here, goes to the other side. I'll show you that in a second. That goes to the brake light switch. It comes up, a few little wires in it, and joins in to the main loom, which we determined was this wire here. That was your input to that orange wire. Cut that, and the voltage is gone. So the voltage is coming from that wire, from the other side where the brake light switch is. But it's like 5 wires going across there, and it looks immaculate. So the voltage is coming from the other side. Let's show you roughly what we found. We haven't stripped it yet, so I didn't want to go too far. I want to be able to replicate the fault, show you what we're doing. I didn't even know we was going to record this video until I see that it could be quite a basic fault, what's been a bit of a git. So the loom, which is this one here, is just a basic little loom which comes up, goes to your brake light switch, and it goes to your throttle pedal. It is getting voltage with this green wire. It's disconnected from the other side now, and it's still got voltage on this green wire. So, another quick check. I can see just up in there, that yellow wire looks a tad burnt. So, this is the point we're at. We have disconnected that side of it. That's all gone. We've still got the voltage down here. We have disconnected that part. Voltage is not there. And the multi-plug, which has one wire in, two wires out, disconnected it there. Well, we didn't disconnect it, we cut that wire, and we're still getting voltage down there. So that is why when all that lot is connected, we know it's coming from there. So we know now where the voltage is coming from. We need to strip that wiring down. There's going to be, obviously we've got the other two wires coming up to this brake light switch, which go to the ECU. So they go through that way. I think it's between this wire and this wire. I think they've melted together. Because if it was this one, just your normal 10 amp fuse, this is meant to have voltage on it. It would just leave the brake lights on. It wouldn't turn the ignition on and off and do any of that side of it. It would just think you've got your foot on the brake. So it's got to be a different supply for when you turn the ignition off. It's going to be like a main power supply instead of this switch power supply. So I'm going to strip that out and show you exactly what we found. And hopefully it all makes sense, because I don't really know yet. So let's have a look at it. Forget that. I think I've changed my mind. So I think that the fault's going to be between this switch, this brake light switch. Like I say, when it's off, it gives power to the ECU, so you've got your foot off the brake. And when you turn it on, this one goes away to tell the ECU you've got your foot on the brake, and then puts power out to the rear lights. Because this stays running until you put your foot on the brake, I think it's got a short between this pin for the power to the ECU and that one. I think it's there because you're getting your power into the switch, you put your foot on the brake, it breaks this and then breaks that power to there. That's what I think is going on. Could check where the brake lights go off, couldn't I? I don't know. No, it's not that either. Can't be that, because it's getting power to it with the brake light switch disconnected. Scrub that as well. So that's what goes on in my mind all the time. Is it this? Is it that? And people say, you know, how long does it take you to do the car? You didn't do that. You know, while I'm here thinking, could it be this? Could it be that? Could it be that? It's still part of the job. It is not stripping the seats out and taking panels off what part of the job. It is trying to work out what the logical step is and what could be happening. So yeah, so I thought it'd be that because you put your foot on the brake. So what must be happening is, I don't know, when you put your foot on the brake, it turns off. We'll find out once we find out wiring. So let's strip that out, find exactly what's gone on. It's definitely a burn there, I would think. Touch a couple of wires together, hopefully quite easy to repair. Undo that, pull it through, have a look, and I'll show you. Sorry about the waffle. He's a genius. All right, here we go. Pulled this loom through, and that bit of wire in there looks absolutely fine. But this bit has all melted together. So that's it there, look. All started to melt together. You can see there, look. Ooh, where are we? Got a bit of copper showing. So it's going to be, I'm sure, between this yellow wire and the green. So something on these wires is going to be alive, which is sending it back down this green wire. So I'm going to get a multimeter set up. We're going to go onto the green wire, and then we're going to slowly pick this wiring back. We're going to see exactly where the cross-consumer short was on this wiring and how it works. And then we'll explain it back on the diagram. We've got the meter set up. We probe straight into the yellow wire, into the green wire. So what we're going to do, we're going to slowly pick this apart, and hopefully, well, it will do, that voltage will go down when we find the part which is shorted. Got to be this yellow and green. So we've obviously got battery voltage on it, which we've gone to earth to there. Yeah, they've definitely melted quite well together. Got to be in this part here. And there we go. It has popped away from there. So this yellow has melted quite a way down. It's going to need new wires running all the way up into it. It's actually the main part of the loom, but it proves a point. It's definitely down to that. Now we've got that down, we're going to run some insulation tape down it just quickly to make sure everything else is okay, clear all fault codes, everything like that. Then give the customer the good news that we need to repair this wiring. So that is cross-consumer short circuit. So it actually looked like it worked out a fault between the yellow, the white. So it actually looks like it was a fault between both switches what are coming in, both lives what are coming in, and the output. So I think it had gone across there and linked these two, switch live, main live, and the output to there. So it was just getting itself all confused, didn't know whether you had thought on the brake, off the brake, or anything. So that is why it took so long. So there we go. Let's get this done. Customer's given us a go ahead to get this wiring repaired. So I'm going to go in there, strip that out, run some new wires through, and I'm going to show you how we done it, what we done, and the way to check all the other wires once you've had a sort of burnt wire running through the loom. So we're going to do that. I'll get this working. I'll show you that in a little while. But what did cause this fault? I would think that shorted out brake light switch, that should have blown the fuse, and it shouldn't have burnt the wiring, because the fuse should be rated to the circuit. But what I think's happened, they've fitted some aftermarket fuses in there. We only use genuine fuses. We'll actually go and take them out of a breaker before buying them from Halfords, etc., because they don't know where they're coming from. They're just buying them on bulk. They probably come from China. The fuses don't blow at the same rating. So we only fit genuine fuses. So I think that's why they put another fuse in it. It hasn't blown, burnt the wiring backwards. So yeah, so I'm going to get this checked out and I'll show you afterwards. Right, so the main two wires, what did need fully replacing was the yellow and the green. So we've heat shrunk it here, we've run it right the way up through the loom and then into just by the fuse box there. So that bit's done. But obviously we see all them wires were sort of stuck together where it had heated up. Let me show you what you need to do when you do that. We had to test every single wire to make sure, even if we just pulled it apart, that it wasn't any copper showing or anything like that. So we run our fingers down it to make sure it's okay. But let me show you this. So these are the main two, green and yellows. So that has glued itself together on that couple of inches there. We pull that apart, so we've got a lot of copper showing. It's glued itself onto that one. But then you get down to a little bit, like that bit there, where it's just popped along. If you pulled that off, that green is actually fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's got a little bit of yellow glued onto it or melted onto it. And actually that yellow part is okay as well. But if we get little bits like that, you can run your fingers down the loom or down the wire and you can actually feel the rough part. So if when you're doing a full amount of them, just run your fingers down it, you'll feel the rough bit in it. If it's like that, it might be worth just putting a bit of insulation tape around it. Even if it's taken a tiny bit of insulation off, what's your options? Put a bit of tape around it and then screw it up in the loom, which some manufacturers do anyway. Or cut it, solder it, add heat shrink onto it, heat shrink it, and have a potential point of failure again. So yeah, that's the way we do it. If it's got a serious amount of damage on it, we do cut the whole thing out, renew it. If it's just got one little nick where it's touched one wire, we'll insulate it up, wrap it up into the loom so the insulation can't move at all, and job's carrot. So yeah, so I'm going to get this one all sort of put back together. we'll test it and I'll show you it working. All right, so there it goes. All right, foot on a brake. Starts, stops. You can see the brake lights working. Have a look at that. On and off, and then turns off as well. So there we go. Nice little video of cross-consumer short circuit. Hopefully you learned something from that one. Also, we have done a technical training video for Mechanic Mindset, so go and check them out. There's a link down below. We are starting to do some little bits with Darren. Yeah, again, we believe in this product. As you see at the beginning of this video, we are starting to add some adverts in. I'm not going to put adverts in for hair straighteners and things like that. It will only be things that we believe in. Diagnose Dan, amazing person, Mechanic Mindset, Think Our UK, you know, that's what we deal with, is what we use. We won't be going down big adverts of flashy stuff. Unless we could become Matt Armstrong, obviously. But yeah, so hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you don't mind the adverts, but what can we do? We've got to make some money out of it. We're putting a lot of time and effort into this. We're coming off other cars to be doing these videos for you, and you're getting it for free. So stop moaning. So we'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much.